Hi, this is Gail from Ladyfingers Sewing Center in beautiful Ole, Pennsylvania. I'm working on the Eastern Pennsylvania Shop Hop blocks, and I'm going through all the different stores blocks. There are 8 different shops that are participating in the hop and 12 blocks available in total for us to create our quilts. So I'm doing the Quilted Crows block right now, and I'm cutting it out with the Accuquilt cutter rather than using a rotary cutter. This saves us a lot of time. It makes the cutting absolutely perfect, quick and easy. There's no measuring, there's no marking pencil lines on the backs of squares and things like that. So let me show you first the different dies that are used to cut out this particular 12-inch block. All the blocks in the Shop Hop are 12-inch finished, and they are all pieced. Now all of the dies for this particular block we get from the 8-inch cube from Accuquilt, so that makes it really fun and easy. And note, even though it's an 8-inch cube, we're actually creating a 12-inch block. It all depends on what size pieces that we need. As with many of the other blocks in this group, this is actually a variation of a 9-patch, and it's a 12-inch block. We know that, so that way it's easy to determine what dies that we need to use to cut the block. So if you follow my finger, you'll see that this is actually a 9-patch. Notice how I've created a tic-tac-toe grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units, meaning that's what's called a 9-patch. So the 4 corners are all the same. There's 1 rectangle and 2 squares, and they all finish, well, the squares finish at 2 inches and the rectangle finishes at 2 by 4 inches. Here we have 2 flying geese units that are side by side, and they create a 4-inch square right here when sewn. So the flying geese unit uses a 1/4 square triangle and then 2 2-inch half square triangle units to sew to the geese. And then after that, all we have is a 4-inch finished center square. So let's get cutting. So I'll show you the different dies that we use. The first one that we're going to use is the 1/4 square triangle, which creates the geese. And this one is from the 8-inch cube, and it is number 4, and it creates a 4-inch finished 1/4 square triangle. Next, we have a 2-inch finished half square triangle, and this is of course also from the 8-inch cube. And so that is number 5 in the box. And then we have 2 2 by 4-inch rectangles, also from the 8-inch cube, and this is die number 8. Then we have 4 2-inch squares, and all 4 squares are on 1 die, and that is from the 8-inch cube, and it is die number 2. And then we have the 4.5-inch square, which is the center square, which finishes at 4 inches from the 8-inch cube, and it is die number 1. So let's get started. We're going to start off with the geese. We have 4 green geese and 4 beige geese, and what we're going to do, since we need 4 of each color, we can go ahead and stack our fabrics one on top of the other. Remember, you can cut up to 6 layers of fabric at a time. So we're going to cut all 8 geese at one time. Isn't that great? Put the mat on top. Make sure the lengthwise grain is going into the machine, which I've already done. And then the rest of this fabric can go along for the ride because it's not going to affect the cutting at all. Place the die into the machine. It just takes a few seconds, and voila, we've actually cut all 8 geese at once. As you can see, there is virtually no waste at all, and that depends on how close you get your fabric edges to the die blades. Not bad, huh? Okay, so next we're going to get this out of the way, we're going to cut the half square triangles that go around each goose, and for that we have 2 here, so we can actually cut, again, up to 6 layers at a time. I'm going to cut 4 and 4 because we need 8 of each color. So I can fold my fabric in half, and let's see if that fits. Nope, it's not quite big enough, so I'm going to take it this way. Just make sure your edges of your fabric go past the blades on the die, and you can just lift and peek. Some people draw extension lines on their die with a Sharpie marker, but I like to peek. And then we place the mat on top. And as you can see, we're going to cut all 8 purple triangles all at one time. There we go. Again, very little waste. Not any more than you would if you were using a rotary cutter. Then we're going to cut our 8, there you go, our 8 half square triangles to go around the geese in exactly the same way. Now here I have a scrap. Ooh, look at that. I can just cover the geese. We have 2, 4. Let's see if we can make it. I didn't practice this, you know. Here we go. And put the mat on top and just make double sure we're covering everything. I think we're good. The good news is if you make a boo-boo, whether you're rotary cutting or using an Accuquilt cutter, each kit gives you plenty of fabric to complete the block. Oh yeah, here we go. So now we have our other 8 triangles. Notice too that the dog ears are already clipped off the ends of every triangle in the Accuquilt system. That allows you to fit triangles to geese perfectly, so everything lines up, gives you that perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance, and makes sewing a lot faster and a lot easier. So now we have our geese units cut. Next it's time to cut the rectangles. We have 4 2x4 inch finished purple rectangles. So, whoop, there's one, there's one, there's one, and there's one. Alright, so now we need our purple fabric, and since we have 2 2x4 inch rectangles here, I just need to double up on the fabric so that I get all 4 cut at one time. So just fold this over. Okay, make sure I have enough fabric over here. That looks pretty good. Put the mat on top, and in it goes. Isn't this great? It's just so much, it's so relaxing, it's so much fun, not tedious at all. And the good news is there's no slipping or sliding of the ruler, no chance to cut yourself. Here's our 4 rectangles, and now it's time to cut our squares. The good news is we have 4 2.5 inch squares on here, which finish at 2 inches. We need 4 purple and 4 of the main fabric, which is this beautiful fern print batik. So we're going to lay this on top. So that'll be our 4 squares that way. And then we're going to take our purple fabric. And remember, I already sewed these blocks, so I'm actually using scraps from the rest of the kits. Just proves a point on how much fabric you get with your kits when you get them during the shop hop. I just want to double check, make sure I'm past the line there. I'm going to scoot that up just a little bit. Put the mat on top, and just like that, we have 8 2.5 inch squares. Finally, we have the center square to do, which is a 4.5 inch cut. And that's really easy too. Just put your fabric right on the money there. I'm going to go this side. And put the mat on and simply run it through the machine. Now, had I been ready to go and not talking at all, that would have happened in a couple of minutes. It's really super easy to do. And you can see I'm all ready to sew my block now. So be sure to watch for the next videos. We'll be filming all 12 blocks and how to cut them. Thanks again from Ladyfingers Sewing. I hope to see you again soon.